Welcome to the Collective Talk podcast, where we share reflections on prayer, family, and ministry. On this episode, we'll be continuing our conversation with the Darts, and I'm so excited for you to listen in. Well, you guys' story is like beyond beautiful, and just I loved that analogy to Jimmy. You're talking about the foundation, like that foundation, that house, and you know, in the Bible, it talks about if the foundations are destroyed, what can the righteous do? And I think that's so important, as Mark was talking about, you guys were talking about, that you guys, your foundation, you know, as you guys were dating was so strong.
Yeah.
And so it led into your marriage. And that's the same thing. I think that if you have that strong foundation, the convictions that you guys had, that is bleeding into your marriage. That'll also bleed into, like, say, if you're starting a business or whatever, that I just feel like it bleeds into all of your life.
Yeah.
And so, because your guys' foundation is so strong. And so it's so inspiring. Mark and I are inspired by that. But going back, I just wanted to ask a little bit for those that weren't at your wedding, like, what was that like? Just your wedding day? I mean, you were the most beautiful bride ever, but just what was that like for you guys?
For me, I mean, it was just the most holy day of my life. I mean, other than getting saved and just growing with the Lord, it was like the morning I woke up, I just like was outside in our Airbnb with my girls and yeah, just like was reading the word, and I was just looking out like, this is the day I'm going to get married. I wrote my vows that morning because I was just like, there's so much going on. We literally got married in 3 months from our engagement. So it had to be quick. So a lot of things I was like, you know, wanting everything to fall into place. And it did, like, more than I could have ever imagined. Like, the Lord really took over that day. As I was getting ready, like, my makeup artist, they were doing my hair, like, I was just listening to worship. And I was like, even though, like, there were some things that were, like, not going well, or, you know, my mom didn't show up until later. Like, she's always late. You know? Hispanic moms. You know.
She was there for the cake cutting.
She made it eventually. Yeah, I really just felt the Lord's presence so heavy. And I was just excited just to be in that moment. It went so quick, though. Like,
Yeah.
It
was awesome. For me, it was like the world had stopped, and it was so peaceful.
Yeah.
And honestly, it felt like the Garden of Eden almost, where I was just like, it just felt like so like quiet outside, and the birds, and it was just so still, and just it was incredible. When she walked down the aisle, I was crying and just realizing, like, her dad's given her to me now, and it's my responsibility to take care of her. So it wasn't like crazy emotional as far as like, oh, I can't wait to, you know, this. It was more just like the reverence in the room. Yeah. And I really, it was just incredible. And
all of our friends, and we had 9 groomsmen, 9 bridesmaids. So it was a big bridal party. And, you know, everybody was just so helpful. Everybody was on the same page, the same vibe, you might say, the same spirit. You know, everybody was there together, really just helping us and being there for us and just having so much fun. But yeah, everybody was bawling. Like,
it got a little rowdy. The rehearsal dinner the night before at this restaurant, it was crazy. We had so many people, but all the servers kept coming up to my family, and they're like, we've never seen anything like this. Like, everyone's so nice. Usually we're getting cussed at. Everyone's drunk. Like, what?
No
like,
way.
no alcohol. There's like no alcohol. And at the wedding, you know, like, everyone was sober. And like the dance party, there was a guy on his shoulders doing backflips, and like someone ripped their shirt off and fell into the cake. And like, actually someone kind of got injured. Like, my parents had an elderly couple kind of come. They were in their 80s, and someone from the dance floor fell into them. And the next day they were like, not in crutches, were they? Yeah, they had a cast.
They had, like, they were bandaged up and stuff.
So no lawsuits come yet, but but it got a little rowdy. So
it was so beautiful, and just, you know, having our first kiss in front of everybody, it was just like, it felt just so right. Like, knowing that we waited, we're here, everybody knows it too, so they're expectant, you know, to see that moment. And I didn't know which way he was gonna go, but the way that he went was good, because then he did a little dip, and it was just so beautiful experience.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, I think it's so commendable, like Mark was saying about you guys, and just the lead up to your wedding. And What is your most favorite thing about being married so far? Is it like, what do you guys think would be your favorite thing about each other?
Probably kissing at this point.
Or kissing at this point? Or what is
the
it?
intimacy is definitely very fun.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I think it's just incredible waking up, doing life with someone every single day.
Yes.
And she's so cute, fun, and childlike, and just every day's an adventure. And the great thing is we get to like work together every day.
Yes.
So we'll go make videos or travel and just read the word together in the morning and be like, whose life can we change today? How can we find someone? And so it's just so fun. Yeah, like doing life single and alone. It's just a bit interesting. Yeah. It's just the food gets so stale after so long, eating the same thing.
Wait,
every
who's
day.
the cook?
No, before I was married.
Before.
Now it's great. Before it was like mac and cheese
bachelor
microwave.
making whatever.
So it's great. She can whip up some good stuff. And I'm glad I didn't have to lie about her food cooking because it is good. It is really great.
She's a good cook. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think just like something that I didn't realize was just like waking up.
Yes.
He's there, going to sleep, he's there. Like, it's just like, there's no really like alone time as much, but it's just so powerful just to do, like you said, life with somebody. And we're just having fun.
She's got to be careful. We almost lost her the other day.
No.
Yeah, she was making breakfast, and I left for a couple hours and came back, and I opened the door, and I was like, oh, my gosh, I almost hit the floor.
The gas.
She left the gas turned on a little, and the whole house was just
tiny.
full. She was in the bedroom with the door shut cleaning, but I'm like, that could have,
So what did you
a
guys...
little candle, it would have been upstairs.
Yeah.
Oh.
So did you guys have to call the gas company?
No, we just open every
you just
door,
open all the
window,
windows
and I told her, I was like, leave, go on the roof somewhere.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
On the roof?
No.
That's a safe spot.
We have like a little deck area on the side.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We're learning.
You're learning.
Lots of things.
That's
learning.
awesome.
Yeah.
So I know most people know, Jimmy, what you do, but can you explain to everybody that maybe doesn't follow what you guys do, and then you guys are working together now? What is that like?
Yeah.
And then what is it that you do, and what do you love most about your work?
Yes, I used to do, YouTube videos back in the day. I would go to colleges and see who could party the hardest and film these crazy like party videos.
Yeah.
And when I was 18, got saved, deleted everything, went off the internet for like 5 years, and then a couple of years ago, I just was praying and I was like, God, I have no desire to make videos ever again. I have no desire to be known. I want to like live in a cabin somewhere and just hang out with you. And I have zero desire for any of that social media stuff, because my life was so incredible those 4 years off of it. I felt so much peace, not scrolling, so much joy. It was just great living in the moment. Yeah. It really was wild. Like, you could go to a cabin with your cell phone, or you could be in New York City without it, and you'll feel more like a cabin in New York City without your phone, because that's how glued we are to it. Yeah. So I was chilling. I was having my best life, and the Lord, like, as soon as I said that, he spoke to me, and he said, Jimmy, your idol's dead. Now I want you to go back and make videos, but this time do it for me. And I was like, my idol's dead? What? I stopped making videos 4 years ago. What are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, you surrendered it in the physical, but it was still a dream in your heart. And until this moment, you haven't fully been like, I'm over it. And sometimes you'll surrender something and God will never tell you to pick it up. Or sometimes it might be 4 years later, but he happened to tell me like 10 seconds after. And so I was like, all right, like I'll make videos for you. So it was a bit of a journey. After that, I was like, what does that mean? And, long story short, I was out here living in California, and I was like, God, I want to make videos where I'm helping people out, like raising money for them, giving them money, changing their life, and like preaching the gospel and doing all this stuff. How do I do that? I don't want to make videos where it's like focused on me. And he's like, the kindness test. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, I want you to ask people for help. And when they help you, you change their life. And I was like, wait, what did you say? Ask them for help. When they help me, change their life. And I was like, all right. I had $100 in my pocket. I'm like, all right, I'm going to ask someone for food. And if they give me food, I'm going to give them $100 and see what happens. And so the first time I did it, it was this family, this Hispanic family was coming across the street with all their cute little kids on bikes. They were walking home from like work, the dad was, or something. And I was like, hey, I'm so hungry. Sorry to bother you. Do you have anything? And the little kid, I think, gave me like $1. And then the dad pulled out his backpack and gave me a burrito. Aww. And I was like, thank you so much. I was like, I'm sorry, but to tell you the truth, I'm not hungry. And they're like, wait, what is this, like a game show or something? And I was like, I got $100 for you.
Yeah.
And, everybody calm down. I got $100 for you.
Wow.
And they were just shook and like tearing up. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So I got the guy's like contact information, or I somehow found out who he was later on Instagram. Yeah, later on Instagram, after I posted the video, people were like, he works at this restaurant. He's a super kind guy. So I got his contact info, and I was able to raise enough money to then surprise him again and pay his rent for the month.
Wow.
And so I was like, this is so cool. And the internet responded greatly. People loved it. The videos were going viral. People were donating. Not just Christians, anyone watching just connected with it.
Yes.
And so now we do that just at a bigger scale where, we'll give someone instead of $100 now, $1,000. And then instead of pay their rent for a month, people will donate, and we'll literally raise like $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 for people to get them off the street into a house, or if they're battling through cancer, have medical bills, whatever it is, the community and the online presence, they just attack these problems. So we get to do it kind of together, drive around in the little Honda looking for people, and it's really fun.
That's so cool. Honestly, all the videos, Mark and I cry. Like, I watch them. And
Show
I'm
got
like,
to be hooked on your videos before you came to our church.
Yeah,
Really?
I was
Really?
I saw
That's
one of them,
hilarious.
or somebody, I think Rachel
Yeah.
Taylor sent me one of your videos. I start weeping. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing, incredible. And so all of the videos that you guys post, I'm just like, it's just like the heart of God for people. And so it just blesses me. And what you guys do is so powerful, and just how God loves those people. And I love how you always say, well, God loves you, or you'll pray for them. And that's just beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it is powerful. It's beautiful. And to me, it's even more impressive what they're doing, because these are the people that don't know what's going on, and they literally are giving sometimes their last dollar. So I'm always blown away by that, and I'm always like, I've never been in a situation where I had like $2 left, so I don't know what that feels like. I've been in situations where I'm sleeping in my car and I have like $80 and trying to figure it out, but it's just wild seeing those people do that. And the thing I've taken away from it is, these people didn't randomly do this. They've been living a lifestyle like that.
Yes.
And maybe their whole life just gotten taken advantage of, or just helped people and never were blessed back. But a lot of these people, I remind them of the verse, and they hold on to it even before they meet me. Don't grow weary in doing good.
Yeah.
Good.
And so that's a lot of the lifestyles they live. And so when we're able to come in, and then another impressive part is, not only they help with the little they have, but then the internet, people in Australia and Miami, just all over, see it, a video that's just so far from them, and then they go, oh, I want to give $30, I want to give 50, and then we surprise them with that amount. So it's just really mind-blowing, especially in the time we're in right now, to know, like, okay, there's not just a couple good people, there's a lot of great people.
I loved, Jimmy, being at your wedding. It was so cool. I got to meet a couple of the people that you blessed. One of them actually spoke. What was her name that spoke at the one of the gals?
Was that Carrie?
I think it was Carrie.
Yeah, Carrie,
She sat down the table from me, and she gets to get up and shares her story.
Wow.
How she's living out of her car, gives you some of the last money that she has. You bless her socks off, and then you came back, raised more money. I think she bought an RV or something like that with that.
Wow.
But to see, Jimmy, that this isn't just as your pastor, as a friend, this isn't some gimmick that you're doing because you're trying to gain following on social media. You're involved in these people's lives. You're keeping up with these people. You're friends with these people.
Wow.
And I'm really proud of you, because I know there's a lot of people out there that probably do nice things, but they want to be seen doing it.
Yes.
And I think the reason why God is favoring and blessing you guys, and he's going to continue to do that, is because you really have that heart like the Good Samaritan. Like, even if no one sees this, put it on my account, whatever it takes to bless this person, and I'll settle this when I come back. I feel like you have the heart. If you've done it to the least of these, you've done it to me. And I just think God's going to keep blessing you, because that's your heart.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's beautiful. The Bible is such a beautiful thing. I love the verses that contradict each other, but really they don't contradict each other, because every verse is to be, measured in the context of it, and to, discern what's the right thing. Like, I don't know, it says something like rebuke a fool, and it says like don't talk, what's that verse? There's like 2 verses about that. Or for example, it says, don't let anyone see what your right hand is doing.
Right.
Let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. But then there's another verse that says, let your light be shine on a hill so all people can see it and give glory to God. So it's extremely important to live whatever lifestyle you're living in public, live that in private. So the goal is always to help more people in private than we do in public.
Yeah.
And then when we do it in public, to try as much as we can to make it not be like, hey, I'm a little superhero, but no, like, hey, this person that helped was the superhero, and the person that then donated to them is, and my face isn't even in the video 80% of the time. Like, let's keep the focus on them. And thank God I'm in the position to be able to facilitate that, grouping. But so it's really cool, and you got to keep your heart tender and stay on your knees. And at any moment, God could say, stop making videos and do this, and I got to jump on it. So it's very humbling knowing you're not the Lord over your own life, and knowing the second you think you are is probably when you're going to have to surrender things that you like because they're taking over your heart.
Right. That's so good. Well, I love that. I think it's a quote by Mother Teresa. She says, I'm probably going to butcher it, but she basically, in a sense, says that let my heart be so big that the whole world falls in. And so I just thought that was so beautiful. I always loved that quote, and I just feel like that's something that God will keep using you guys because your heart is so pure for people. And you genuinely love people. And I think that I loved what you just said is like the moment that it becomes about you and not about the people, that's what Mark and I we believe in ministry. I mean, we lead a church. The moment that the ministry or the church becomes about you, that's when I feel like God takes it from you, or that it's not about us. It's about what can we do to help people. And I think the purpose of life is not just to live this life for us, but it's for others, and it's for people. It's to populate heaven. Mark always says to populate heaven. And so I just think that you guys are doing an incredible job and all of that. But I wanted to ask you guys, where do you guys see yourselves in 5 to 10 years? It's a hard question, well, but where do you,
hopefully alive. And,
we will be here.
Hopefully I got a 6-pack and I start eating a little healthier. No. But I mean, I don't know, 5 to 10 years. Do you want to go first, and then you want me to go?
You the man.
All right. Okay.
You the head.
All right. I mean, honestly, like, if you spend 5 to 10 years doing anything, you're gonna get really good at it. Like if I just focused on one thing, like maybe sports is a bad example because I may have some limitations with what I can do and how high I can jump and stuff. But if you focus on any skill for 5 to 10 years, you're gonna be really great at that. And when I was, I tell her, I was just telling you that when anyone comes to our house, the skill that I focus on, and every day when I wake up, that I try to just put all my energy towards. And that another 5 to 10 years of doing it, I can't imagine what can happen is whenever people are at our house, I'm like, all right, guys, like, the food's great and this happened today, but all right, well, let's think here for a minute. What can we do to advance heaven? Like, what can we do to, make the Great Commission come to life? How can we get people saved? And how can we solve, people that are drinking dirty water and dying from it, or hunger, all these different things. So I'm working on a hydration company that we're launching in a couple months, where every bag of the hydration, it will give a family clean water for 30 days, and build wells, partner with a charity for that. And so different businesses like that, different things. So, I'm really, the great thing is when you're not the king over your life, you don't know where it's going to be, because God can always pop something out of nowhere. But it's really just the goal would be to advance heaven and just live more of a sold out life, more above reproach. And just know that, I could be gone 5 minutes from now, or I could live another 80 years. And so I always kind of live with that. And I'm always like, man, like I told her, I was like, I really want to get this calendar on the wall that I've seen recently. And it's like, predicts you to live like 80 years old. So every week you check it off and you can see your life being shrunk, kind of
it's in one page.
It's one page.
So it shows that you have like 180 weeks or something, like whatever it is, And it's funny because my grandma's outlived the chart by like 15 years now. So it's not exactly accurate. I even told her, I was like, I'd be cool to invent a watch that counts down like 80 years from now. Just because like we waste so much time doing things that aren't super valuable. Yeah. And you can do things like, go golfing or pet a dog, and it can be valuable, but doing it with the Lord, with intention, being thankful as you're doing it. So I just want to live a life like that and be the best husband I can be, where 10 years from now, she's like, she just cries thinking about me because of how I treat her. So I want to do that,
Yeah, just helping more people, being present with our families and friends and community and church and just kids, and we'll see.
Oh, baby.
Hey.
Baby.
That's candy.
Building businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah, taking the enemy down with whatever we do. That's just been my heart before I met him. It was just like, I just want everybody to know the Lord, and see him rightly for who he actually is. And so, coming alongside him, helping him, it's just such a blessing.
I think, it was interesting. I ran into, we were outside of a restaurant. We were driving yesterday, and she had to go to the bathroom. So I pulled over in the middle of the road. I'm like, quick, run through the woods here to the restaurant. We don't have time to park. So she went somewhere. Her phone was dead. I pulled into the parking lot. I didn't know where she was, and I was just hanging out trying to find her. Yeah. And this family came out to their car, and they go, "Oh my gosh, Jimmy, we follow your videos. We love what you do." And I said, "Oh, thanks so much," and started talking to them. And I was like, "What are y'all up to?" And she started kind of tearing up a little bit. And she's like, "Yeah, we're here. Our dad passed away 2 years ago, and this is his favorite restaurant. So it's the anniversary of that." Yeah. And the whole family was there, and they're like, "We have flowers. We're now going to the beach and this and that."
Cut a cake.
And I was like, "Can I pray for y'all?" And they go, "Yeah." And then they started crying more, and they're like, "Our mom right now also is battling cancer."
Yeah.
So the mom came out of the restaurant. And so I said a prayer over them and prayed for healing, that the cancer would leave her body. And I told them, I said, something I really want you to know is, that, sympathy doesn't set you free. The truth sets you free. And you hear a lot of people go, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that." And then they walk away. And it feels nice, they care, but it doesn't really solve anything. Yeah. And so I was like, I just want y'all to know the truth, that the Lord didn't take your father. Yeah. He didn't kill your dad and give him cancer. Yeah. The enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Yeah. Jesus came to give life and life abundantly. Yeah. And the devil's favorite game to play is doing things and then trying to blame it on God. Yeah. And now they said they were Christians, so now they're like worshiping God in this weird way where they're like, "You're so good, but you killed my dad." It's like this weird bipolar figure they're worshiping, which isn't true. And so I was just telling them that, and they were crying more and saying thank you. And so and then they told me that their dad was a man of God, and that they felt like he sent us to them today. Yeah. And so it was so cool just getting to talk to them. And it was, I forgot where I was going with that, but just like, I was saying, I have like anger almost in a sense built up towards the enemy and towards the devil, because I see everything that he does, different wars, people dying, this and that. And, a lot of people go, "Well, God's in control." It's like, no, the way I look at it is like, God is the boss, but he's not in full control. Like right now, I could throw that camera across the room. God didn't make me do that. I have free will.
Right.
So my dad owns a restaurant. If I go there or someone eats there and the server throws coffee on you, my dad didn't authorize that to happen. Right. It's like the waitress had free will and did that. Yeah. Yes. So God, his plan is going to come to pass, and I'm not saying that he's not sovereignly divine over things, but a lot of the minuscule things that happen is people's free will choosing to do things in the fallen world we live in. So that's why I'm like, man, I can't stand the devil. He's such a jerk. He does things to ruin people's lives. Yeah. He lies to them. He manipulates them. He takes truth, puts 1% lie in there, and now people are off on some weird tangents. And so I just want to spend all my days alive doing whatever I can to destroy hell. And finding people like that to do that together.
I love it.
Well, you guys are doing such a great job. You guys are doing that very thing. So I just wanted to end the show. This has been so amazing. But if you guys have any questions for me or Mark, anything's open.
Oh, yeah.
Anything?
Questions?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I don't feel like marriage advice. I feel like that's a typical question to ask. Okay. Something more like, what would you say would be your biggest dream? Like 50 years from now, if you look back and you go, "Wow, that's exactly what we wanted to happen, and it happened.
Yeah.
And like, what would you say would be your biggest, dream?
Yeah.
I guess is one of my questions. And she maybe got one in the chamber.
I think biggest dream 50 years from now
Yeah.
would be not only to see that God would do great things through our life,
Yeah.
but in 50 years to see that our kids and our grandkids would not only be doing what we did, but doing it at a higher level with more fire, more integrity, more passion, more intentionality, that every generation would actually get stronger, and that we wouldn't be an anomaly in our family. Like, man, mom and dad were dynamic. Mom and dad loved Jesus. Mom and dad built the kingdom, but we raised kids that didn't.
Yeah.
My dream is that 50 years from now, that our story would be that we were better parents than pastors, that we transferred faith first in our household before we did in our neighborhood or our city.
Yeah.
And ultimately, not only our biological kids, but I'm praying that all of the people that right now are getting saved in our church, getting mentored and discipled in our sphere of influence, would actually raise generational fruit.
Yeah.
That there would be a whole slew of people that I meet in eternity 50 years from now, that even at the end of my life, I think my goal would be is that the generations would be stronger, and that at the end of our life, we would say we exhausted everything we knew to do, we did, and that we would die empty in that regard, not with any type of regret that I wonder if we would have tried that, or I wonder if we would have swung a little harder at this. I want to die going, man, we probably over-exerted our potential. We didn't bunt. We didn't try to hit a base hit. We swung for the fence, and we died with just exhausted in that regard, exhausting the potential that God put in our life, and seeing our kids follow that example.
Amen.
I totally agree. I think not settling. I think that if we're old in age, and I think that if we just do all that God's called us to do and we never settle, I think, in the Bible, Joshua, God came to him, Joshua, who was old in age, and he had already defeated so many of his enemies, but it was like 70 to 80%. And God said, there's more for you to conquer. And I feel like for Mark and I just never want to be a person that settles for less than what God has for us.
Yeah.
And I want the more. I want, if God has it for me and Mark and our family, I want that. And I don't ever want to settle, because I always say this, but you never know what's on the other side of your obedience. Like, I continually want to hear God and obey him and never settle.
Yeah.
For the more of God. Like, if God says there's more to be taken, there's more to be done, and I just never want to settle in my life. And so if I'm old in age and I'm just at my deathbed and I'm just not settling, I think that's the greatest thing. And I could give my kids and my husband in life. So,
Amen.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like, it seems like a lot of people, once they get in their 60s or 70s in retirement age, they kind of throw on like airplane mode and they're just kind of coasting. But
Yeah.
to like be in that age, but to still be like on heaven's assignment, you know?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Amen.
Like, how much can you golf before you're like, all right, this is depressing, you know?
I'm over it.
Yeah.
Totally. So good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, any more questions,
Do you
and then we
have
could
one
end
more?
it?
What's the difference from like when you guys were single? I mean, not single, but like, what is the difference when you guys were like newly married to like, 5 years down the line? Like, what do you think?
That's a
We
good
make
question.
out we make out way more now.
Oh, baby.
Rachelle. Yeah. So from newlyweds till now, maybe
Yeah.
is what you're
Yeah.
saying. I think love is like if you really are doing the things we're talking about.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
putting God first. You're praying together.
Yeah.
A lot of things we talked about even in premarital counseling.
Yeah.
I think that every year of your marriage, it's like an aging wine that it just gets better. Again, I'm not a drinker either, but
Yeah.
but the idea of wine taking time to get better over the age, I think that looking back, I love Rachelle. I can't imagine loving her more at the altar when I saw her. So beautiful, so amazing. But now I'm like, it's not. We don't just have I think the first initial part of your marriage is almost like a spark, like it's like a fiery type of love, And I think that you go from a spark to like almost like this deep connection that we can finish each other's sentences. She can give me a look, and that one look, I could write a book on that one look, you know? And I know, I mean, literally, we just know each other so well.
Yeah.
I feel like we're at a point now that I've actually spent more of my life with Rachelle than I spent without her.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm 40. And we've been married for 19 years. It'll be 19 years in September.
Wow.
And I've known Rachelle since I was 18.
Yeah.
So I've been married to her longer than I haven't known her.
Wow.
And I think there is just something about that. It's so weird. You just feel like she is the right-hand side of my brain. I'm the left-hand side of my brain. And I'm so good for her in the areas that she needs me, and she's so good for me. And I think you don't know that the first year of your marriage. You're still learning a lot about each other.
Yeah.
But you get 20 years down the road, and you have so much history. And I guess my favorite part, all of my best memories have Rachelle in them now.
Right.
You know, when you first get married, your favorite memories, oh, dude, I won state champion, you know, when I was MVP of the NBA and like all these. You weren't there yet, you know. But now all of my favorite memories have Rachelle in them. And I think that's what I love about where we're at.
Yeah, just the best friends. We were always best friends when we were dating and all of that. But I think even now, like our relationship has gotten so much deeper and more incredible.
We gotta hold hands, babe. They're
Oh
holding
yeah,
hands.
they're holding hands.
100%.
So I just feel like that. But I just feel like that God, He strengthens your relationship, your friendship, every part. It's just so cool to see how it just gets better. Like it just gets better. And so I feel like if your foundation, again, going back to that foundation, if your foundation is strong, your marriage will keep getting better and better. And so I think that's why keeping that foundation really strong, that will create a godly, amazing marriage. So we're so thankful you guys came today. You guys are amazing.
We got a lot to look forward to.
Come on. This was candy today, guys.
You guys, so much wisdom from you guys. Well, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for joining us on this episode of The Collective Talk, where we shared reflections on dating, relationships, and marriage. Stay tuned for future episodes as we dive into topics of prayer, family, and ministry.